All right. So this morning's homeroom, we're gonna talk about study skills. All right. Um, so I did that. Yay. All
No
right.
more boring stuff.
All right. I'm actually going to ask you a different question than this one. All right. When when does or you can say you don't listen to it at all, but when does your family turn on Christmas music?
During the Christmas time.
No, like I'm saying, you know, is it after Thanksgiving? Is it the 1st of November? Like when is it for you?
All
On
Christmas.
all year.
Charlie, you're saying all year?
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. I like that.
On Christmas.
So you're like after Thanksgiving, Aaliyah?
Yeah.
Okay. Mariah, what about you? Ava, what about you? Tell me when, or you can say you don't. It's not like I'm gonna be offended if you don't. But when does your family listen to Christmas music? When do y'all listen to Christmas music? Oh, Mariah answered this question. I'm asking a different one, Mariah. I'm asking, when does your family listen to Christmas music? When do you start? At my house, we start on the 1st of October. So that's my theory. Okay, so yeah, Mariah said Thanksgiving too. So y'all are some Thanksgiving people, except for Charlie, who can join my club of the we should listen to Christmas music year round, right? Um, so all right, I got another question. Aaliyah, you hear me? Okay. So my other question is, when do you decorate your house for Christmas? When do you decorate for Christmas?
Like I think the week after Thanksgiving, we start
Okay.
decorating.
After Thanksgiving, okay. When do you decorate?
Like that last week of November, sometimes like 2 weeks into December.
Oh wow. So you listen to the music, but you don't get decorating early. So
Yeah.
my thought on that is, if I'm gonna spend all this time like decorating my house, it ought to be up for 2 full months. So my theory is we should be decorating for Christmas on the 1st of November, right? So it's there for 2 months. My wife says that no, we need to have our fall decorations up till almost Thanksgiving. So we can't come to an agreement on that. Me and the kids want to do it earlier, but obviously my wife is the one who's going to. I'm not going to be like, "Ha, we'll do it anyway." Now, sometimes I will sneak out some little small Christmas decorations where I'll go. I have like a Charlie Brown, bunch of little Charlie Brown Christmas things, and I'll get them out and I'll have them around the house, or like some of my nutcrackers and stuff like that. So, anyway, that was my thought. All right. So today, test taking skills. All right. So a test, like, I mean, I don't know that y'all need a definition of a test, but we're talking about like anything that's assessing your ability. All right. So how you prepare for a test is important. It provides a thorough review of material, leads to better preparation and confidence, and builds a sense of pride and accomplishment in a good way. So if you're more prepared, then you're not going to be as nervous. Chloe, would you stop rolling, please? And then you're probably going to do a lot better, right? So that's kind of what it's getting at there. All right, now before a test, and we went over a lot of this stuff earlier in the year in homeroom. You need to know your learning style and study according to your learning style. So if you don't learn well just by listening and then hearing, in your head, then don't just like get somebody to read it, obviously. If you don't just learn it by just reading it, then don't just read it. Okay. So that would be something like, copying down your notes or things like that. All right. And I think we have a lot kind of different test ways that we tend to do things here than in the traditional school I used to teach in. Um, but there will be some times in your life, especially once you get in high school or college, where there's going to be a lot more studying involved on something. Um, and then for like, I know for say math class, when you got something coming up, what I tell you to do is to look back over the example problems, right? So you can kind of see and know how to do something before you go in and do it. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of like organizing yourself, knowing what to do and when, and getting ready for something. Then it talks about setting your goals and your motivation for doing well. Like, is it just for the grade, or you want to do your best all the time? I would hope you want to do your best all the time. That would be what I would say there. All right, during a test, take a deep breath, relax, think positive. Um, I don't see take. So one that I would say, like with the take your time and pace yourself, is like if you start to get frustrated, like take a bathroom break, right? Go to the bathroom, clear your mind,
Yeah, I get that.
cup of water, cup of coffee, something like that. Yeah.
Water.
So, and then also read directions very carefully, right? So, I know that there's some people that last week there was like this little exit ticket thingy I had, and there are people who might have got all the right answers, but they didn't make above a B, like they were making C's and D's and F's because they weren't doing what I asked them to do. Because this stuff does not require you just to divide it. You got to show what you're doing in terms of the reasoning. And so, reading the questions carefully, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to. And then, mark the questions that are hard and go back to them later. That's really important on SC Ready. And then look for cues from other questions, meaning maybe there's a hint on one question that can help you on another one. I've seen that a lot of times with, say history test or something, right? And then ask questions if you are confused, and then go back over your work before you're done to make sure you didn't make some silly mistake. All right. Now, I am not in the kind of creative mood with all the different lessons I have to plan here. So I'm not necessarily going to, I want you to notice something here. All right. So I want to read through the test. Okay. This is like a little quiz here. And I want you to see if you can get what the deal is. Okay. We're not actually going to do it. So this quiz right here, this is pretty classic. Okay. It says write your name in all capital letters at the top of this page. Number 2, read the rest of the list carefully before beginning the quiz. So you're supposed to do, it tells you on number 2 right here, read the rest of the list carefully before beginning the quiz. Then it says circle the word quiz at the top of the page, stand up and stretch and sit back down, write your favorite color, circle all the even numbers on the page, total the sum of the even numbers, turn the page over and draw a circle, write the word directions backward here, try to make yourself yawn, make a smiley face out of the circle you drew on the back, add a mustache to the smiley face, scratch your nose a little, draw 10 stars across the bottom of the page, think of a happy moment and smile, and circle the letter grade you give yourself for the quiz. Now, notice the last question on the quiz on this says only complete questions 1 and 2. You don't have to answer 3 through 16. So all you actually had to do on this one was to write your name at the top of the page and turn it in. You see? So the point of this was to look at reading directions, okay, and noticing what it tells you to do, and doing it so that you're making sure that you're using what's on the quiz or the test in order to do what you're supposed to do and pay attention to the details, right? That's actually really important. So the whole point of this was it's a trick quiz where people who don't read directions will do a bunch of stuff when people who do are going to know that they aren't supposed to go past number 2. So I think it's pretty interesting, but I didn't really think it was that we necessarily had to do it per se. All right. So, Aaliyah, will you stop with the flashing lights, please? Thank you. All right. So, with multiple choice stuff, if you do have multiple choice, you read the question without looking at the answer choices first to see if you already have an idea. So, in other words, when you first see the question, see if you understand the question without going to the answers directly, because a lot of times the teacher will have, all right, design the answers to where if you go through there, you might end up tricking yourself. Whereas if you look at it first, you might see, okay, I know what it's, I know this one, right? And so then after you've read through the question, look at the answers and see if there's something that's similar to yours, right? Pay attention to keywords in the question, such as never, always, not, except for. So I know that the not type of questions is both when I've taught history and when I've taught math can really confuse people. Then you can kind of, if there are two answers that mean the same thing, it shouldn't be one of them, right? And then also, like, if you are second guessing yourself and you don't know that you were wrong the first time, you're probably better off going with your first answer. Okay, usually second guessing yourself on one that you're not sure about tends to go worse. Okay, only if when you're reading back over, you're like, oh, I know that one's wrong. It's this. Yeah, well, then obviously change it. But if you aren't sure, then don't just go change it for no reason. Right. And then after the test, relax, clear your mind. Right. And then, obviously, if you've missed some stuff, get with the teacher to figure out what you missed and why, and then learn from your mistakes. So, like, if the way you took the test and prepared for it didn't work, then make sure to try something different the next time you have one in preparing and in doing. Just don't keep doing the same things if the things you're doing is not working. Okay. All right. So what questions do you have about test taking, anything like that? Any question about the week in any of the classes? Does everybody understand, you all understand that we're on Q2 on our grading, even though Q2 doesn't technically start till Friday? All the grades we're doing this week are going on second quarter. Okay. And y'all really need to check your grade book to make sure that the stuff from last week I put on quarter 2 already. And so y'all want to keep an eye on that to make sure that you aren't missing something from last week, or that you don't, whether or not you have something you need to fix from last week. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. All right. So what it wants us to tell here, all right, kind of to finish out here, what are some, you can tell me if you want to, or you can type it out. What are some test taking skills that you have used previously that work for you?
So my mom always tells me it's wrong to multiply, but I feel like that it's easier for me and it gives me my answer.
Okay, you're just talking about on a particular test or something.
No.
Well, I'm talking about like test taking skills per se, like how you
I
go about.
know, like, not on a multiplication problem. I'm talking about on a division problem. I multiplied 2 parts, and then it still gives me my answer for what I need. So it's like multiplication helps me, and not division. Division is confusing.
I would say one to think about in terms of math is once we start using some formulas or skills or stuff like that, then when you start taking a test, like writing down on the side of the paper you're working on some of the things you need to remember, that will be a good one. Or like if you got a big idea for like a social studies or science test, Aaliyah, stop with the bear. All right, that if you kind of write down the key concepts when you first start, then you can look back at those. Since you did it after the test started, if you do it before the test started, that's cheating. Okay. If you do it after the test starts and you just are like, okay, I'm gonna write down these things I got in my head so that I don't forget them when I get to that. Okay, then that's perfectly fine. All right, that's a good idea. And certainly marking out wrong answers helps too if it's multiple choice. You that this one's wrong, right? So if it's on a computer, it can be useful to like have it on a scratch piece of paper, like A, B, C, and D, and then mark out D if you know D is wrong or something like that. Right. So those are all ones that are pretty useful. All right. Anything else? I think that is it. All right. I will see y'all at 10. Make sure you look for whether or not I made comments on your work from yesterday and the day before. And yeah. All right. See y'all in a bit.